Hello everyone, what's up? It's me again, Junkmusa3, and I'm back with yet another one of those ranking videos. So in this video I'm going to talk about every single film that was directed by Romero, feature-length films that is, that he directed. There's one film in this list that I am very baffled as to, like, oh, I have not heard about this before. But according to IMDb, he co-directed this film with another director. But I'll get to that when I get to the film and the ranking, so to say. So I'm going to start with the weakest ones, and then I'm going to work my way up to the best ones. And this is just my personal opinion, and this is how it is right now. This is a real tough list to make because Jorge Romero has made so many good films in general. So let's begin with the weakest one. At number 18, we have this actually includes in this one uh, a bonus feature. There's always vanilla, which is a bonus on this particular DVD, Season of the Witch. It is just a very big mess of a film, sort of like a comedy drama film, but there's very much things that make sense in the film. The storyline is very muddled, and apparently the when they made this film, it was like it had really big trouble during production. Because I believe there was like the original writer or something like kind of backed out or something. Maybe it was the producer, but it had a whole lot of problems. And George Romero himself has actually stated that There's Always Vanilla, or The Affair, which is also known as, is his weakest film that he ever directed. And I definitely agree with him right there. So There's Always Vanilla at number 18. And number 17 is, yeah, conveniently, Season of the Witch, which I think is known as something else. I think it was Hungry Wives or something. Um, Once again, this is a film that you might think, oh, this is really good because it has such a great atmosphere to it. But when you have like an older like 70s film and it lacks atmosphere, then you know there's something wrong with the film. I always found this to be very boring and very like lackluster. But then again, I have only seen it once, and it was quite a while since I watched it. But overall, I think it's a very big disappointment. As to like it's like a Joshua Romero film in general. So, but yeah, Season of the Witch. Yeah, didn't care too much for that one either. Then we have a film which has a very special and unique premise. I must say that in that regard, it really delivers. But as for the film, I don't care too much for it because I mean, why would you need to make it like 2 hours and like 25 minutes or so? I mean, just to, should have just stick to like a 1 hour and 30 minutes or 1 hour and 45 minutes film. But this is just way too long for its own good, in my personal opinion, and that is Night Riders. Uh, this is at number 16. Yeah. Um, like I said, the premise is very unique and very interesting, and the characters are somewhat interesting as well. But I mean, it's just the length of the film that just kills off this entire thing. In my personal opinion, I think it must have been like some sort of. It doesn't say on IMDb, but it feels like it's some sort of like made-for-TV film, like a miniseries. It should have worked like that, but yeah, like I said, I mean, unique premise, but it's too long. That's my final opinion on that one. And then at number 15 is that film that I was gonna mention, like I mentioned earlier in the video, that I have not heard about this at all. But according to IMDb, Jorge Romero co-directed this film along with Paco Plaza. I believe he was one of the guys who directed some of the Rec films, I believe. And it is Xmas Tale, or A Christmas Tale. Um, like I said before, I knew nothing about this, that George Romero was involved in this, and I'm not really sure how much he was involved because he's not the one that is top billed as director, because Paco Plaza seems to be the uh, the main director of this one. So I'm not really sure how involved George Romero was on this project. I tried to look more information up on that, but I couldn't find anything. So if this is completely wrong, that he's not even involved in this one, sorry for this, but yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. But anyway, Christmas Tale as a film, um, pretty interesting storyline, like about this lady that gets really mad. She's like in this pit, and she wants these kids to help her up. And in the beginning, they're like kind of messing with her, but then they decide to, well, we need to help this poor lady. Turns out this poor lady is like a really mental nutcase, and is just absolutely mad and just crazy in general. Um, that's a very interesting storyline, but I feel like they probably would have. added more blood or gore effects if it wasn't a made-for-TV film, because this was a TV movie, and it just felt like they really held back when it comes to some of the blood and gore and like that violence the stuff. So that's really unfortunate. It's kind of a mediocre type film in general, but I can't say that I hate it or anything like that. So yeah, Christmas Tale at number 15. Then we have at number 14, we have, this is, in my personal opinion, his weakest Of the Dead film, and it is A Diary of the Dead. Most people would probably put Survival of the Dead at the lower spot on this list or whatever. But the reason why I prefer Survival of the Dead over this one is because I'm not very huge fan of found footage style films. I mean, sure, there are some good ones out there, but in general, I find the whole genre to be somewhat of an obnoxious type of deal. Sure, some of the zombie stuff in this one is good, but it's just this found footage style that really takes me out of this film, in my personal opinion. So, yeah, Diary of the Dead at number 14. And at number 13, we have that other one I mentioned, Survival of the Dead. The one thing that really kills this for me was some of the CG effects that have not aged well at all. But it seems like I like this one more than most people do. I found it to be a quite interesting and entertaining zombie film as it is. I mean, it's not like a spectacular masterpiece or anything like that, but it's a fun watch in my personal opinion. So, yeah, Survival of the Dead. I think I remember when I saw this in like the video store back in the day when video stores were still a thing, and I was thinking, oh my god, George Romero made a new zombie film. I need to watch that. So this cover art is like very nostalgic to me as well. So yeah, Survival of the Dead. Then at number 12 we have another one of those like miniseries, but like anthology films, you can say. There's two stories in this one, but Two Evil Eyes at number 12. This one has a story by Dario Argento and a story by George A. Romero. I thought the George A. Romero story was more interesting than the Dario Argento one, even though I did like the Argento one as well. I believe Dario Argento did an adaptation of The Black Cat, and George A. Romero made a story about the case of Voldemort, I believe it was called, which was quite interesting, fascinating. Not an amazing film or anything like that, but still a fun watch in general. So yeah, Two Evil Eyes at number 12. Then we get to number 11, and on that one we have The Dark Half. Is this like, for some reason I always thought this was a story written by Stephen King. It has that type of feel to it. But overall it's okay. I wouldn't say it's very memorable in general, but I think it's good for what it is. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. So yeah, The Dark Half at number 11. Now we get to the top 10. At number 10 we have Bruiser. Very many people seem to dislike this film. I like the early 2000s charm of this film. And it even has like a pretty funny concert footage type deal with the Misfits towards the end. It's sort of like a weird psychological slasher type thing. It's like a slasher mystery in a way. I say slasher mystery very loosely because I don't believe there wasn't really that bloody or gory things in this one. But yeah, Bruiser, it's good for what it is. Yeah, Bruiser at number 10. Then at number 9 we have a film which I believe most people would put way up higher, like in this list. But yeah, at number 9 we have Creepshow, and people would probably scream at me right now, how could you put that so low? The reason why, don't get me wrong, I really like this film, but the problem once again when it comes to some of these films is that it's over 2 hours long. I would say this is just too long for an anthology film. If I want to watch an anthology film, I don't think there should be more than 3 stories or like 4. That's just my personal opinion, like how I prefer it. But sure, the stories, I mean, I do like all of these stories in this anthology. I just felt that this was way too long for its own good, and just too many stories like shoved in there. So that's just pretty much one of my only criticism of this film. So yeah, Creepshow at number 9. And then at number 8 we have the latest one I watched, and this was the one that was like lost to time forever, and then someone found it in some vault or something. So at number 8 we have The Amusement Park, and this one really blew me away. It's not your typical Romero like zombie film or like horror like that. This is more psychological, and it's just so sad and depressing. It's just basically about how the elderly, how they are treated in general in society, and that they don't really have any respect when they walk around and stuff like that. Um, and the sad thing about this film is that this is pretty much still relevant to this day, which is just really sad in general. But yeah, this has such a special type of atmosphere to it. It's just, yeah, I can't really describe it, but it's just, if you haven't seen this film, pick it up on DVD, Blu-ray. I'm not really sure if the Blu-rays have come out or not already, but I'm just so glad I found this film because this was very special. So, at least to me. So yeah, The Amusement Park at number 8, and then at number 7 we have another Off the Dead film, Land of the Dead. I feel this is very underrated. This is a fun, gory type film. Not seen this one in pretty many years, but I remember I really liked the action in it, and the cast is pretty interesting as well. You have Dennis Hopper and Asia Argento, and um, I just can't, Jean-Luc Guizamo as well. Land of the Dead, I can't really say too much about it. It's a really entertaining like zombie film in general. So yeah, Land of the Dead at number 7. Now let's see. I think I need to speed up a little bit. At number 7, yeah. At number 6 we have The Crazies, which is I think this was a pretty low budget, and I think most of the cast was really like unknown at the time. Um, I'm not sure if they're still unknowns, but anyway, you get what I mean. It's sort of like a low budget film, and premise is very interesting. Like it's sort of like a pandemic type of film. And I must say this before I continue talking about this film. If you did like this one and you haven't seen the remake, I highly recommend the remake. It's very unusual that I say that because I think the remake is a really, really well done film. But it's just the way, I mean, this just, I just think I prefer this one just because it feels more gritty and more vile in a special type of way. The remake I really, really like, but I feel it's like a little bit too polished for its own good, if that makes any sense. But yeah, The Crazies on number 6. Then at number 5 we have a film which I think is extremely underrated. Maybe it's just the fact that I like some of these creature features and whatever, but at number 5 we have Monkey Shines. The premise for this, I'm not really sure why. I always think it's that some of these films are like written or based on stories by Stephen King. Not really sure why, but anyway, Monkey Shines, just the monkey and how it's behaving, and because it's basically about this guy who gets put in a wheelchair basically for life, and he has this monkey that's supposed to help him and whatnot, but turns out someone has been experimenting with this monkey, and the monkey just goes crazy and just goes off the rails eventually. Uh, it's just the fact that it's a monkey is just so charming and so fun. Yeah, I can't. I recommend this enough. This is really entertaining, really cool. So yeah, Monkey Shines at number 5. And then at number 4 we have, this is a film once again that I rarely hear like any like other people talk about in general. I mean, I think most people have probably seen this at this point, but this is a film that I think should need more recognition and more love. I took out the one of the Region 1 DVDs from the collection because I couldn't find the Region 2 that I have somewhere in the collection. But at number 4 we have Martin, sort of like a vampire film. Way more of a really dark and moody drama film than a straightforward horror film, even though it has a lot of horror elements to it as well. This one just has a very special atmosphere to it that I think George Romero captured in a really great way. It's basically about Martin, who's probably like almost like convinced that he's like a real vampire, but then we don't really know if he is a vampire or not. I'm just gonna leave the storyline like that. It's just, the soundtrack is so moody and so like depressing, and the whole style and the way it looks and everything like that. It just looks so sad and moody in general. Maybe that's the reason why I like it. I'm not really sure why, but yeah, if you haven't seen this one and if you're a fan of George Romero, go check it out. It's a really great film, even though it's more of a drama film than a horror film in my personal opinion. But yeah, Margin at number 4. And then at number 3, these three could like switch places every now and then, to be honest, because this was just so tough to settle down between these three films. But at number 3 we have Night of the Living Dead, the original one. Um, yeah, what's to say about this film that hasn't already been said? The zombie film that popularized zombies in general, and yeah, I mean, most people have already talked this about this film to death, so I just feel like I don't really need to talk very much else about this film. So, Night of the Living Dead at number 3. Keep in mind these three is just they were just really hard to pick with a favorite out of these. But then at number 2 we have Day of the Dead. Um, Amazing blood and gore effects by Tom Savini, and yeah, I mean, this is such an apocalyptic type of film. Really, like, um, it's just so not depressing, but it's just so atmospheric, and the characters are memorable as well. They're basically in this bunker, and there's like pretty much the world is going to bits. Um, and there's like experiments on like zombies, and you have Bob the zombie that you can somewhat like communicate. Um, yeah, I mean, this is a really good film. The only reason why this wasn't, this is the only, probably one of the only reasons why this wasn't on number 1, and it's because this one takes place in a bunker, so I feel like the area is not very memorable, like this bunker area. But that's probably it for like criticisms in general. So, Day of the Dead at number 2, and then number 1 is Dawn of the Dead. Um, like I said with Day of the Dead, this one is at number 1 mainly because I really, really like the location that it takes place inside of this mall, and these people are trying to survive from zombies and whatnot, and then Tom Savini shows up with like motorcycle gang, and once again Tom Savini is responsible for the effects, just top-notch effects and really memorable characters, and also that quote, "When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth." This is so really cool. Um, yeah, I don't really know what else to say about these films because people have talked about these films to death. Yeah, Dawn of the Dead at number 1. I have actually yet to see Dario Argento's director's cut of this film. Uh, Not sure how much that differs from the original cut by Romero, but yeah, I really need to get to that and watch that version as well. But yeah, Dawn of the Dead at number 1. So there you have it. That's my ranking video of all of George A. Romero's films. And like I said before in the video, I'm not really sure how involved he was in that Xmas or Christmas Tale film at all. That's just what I noticed when I scrolled on IMDb. It was like his IMDb list or whatever. So filmography, if you will. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this particular video. I'm not really sure what the next video is going to be. It's probably going to be the top 5 of the month for the month of April. Then I really need to get to some more horror review videos as well. So yeah, keep your eyes open for those videos, and see you next time. Bye bye.